Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy Monday. Happy Motivation Monday.
Good morning.
How are y'all doing? How's it going? Listen, welcome to my page. Those who are following me on YouTube, thank you so much for subscribing. If you do not follow me on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share. Follow me on my other platforms, on TikTok, on Instagram, and of course on Facebook. How y'all doing? How was your week? How was your weekend? I'm going to do this really, really quick because I have a meeting to go to later. It's actually an online meeting, but you know what we do? Bang, it is water. It is not Dunkin' this week. I have so much to talk to you guys about. Yes, I'm moving a little fast because I have things to do. How y'all doing? Y'all good? Good. Okay, so you always know I always start with recapping my week and my weekend, what I did. You guys, if you follow me, you know that I do a lot with my children, right? Shout out to all the cosplay mommies out there, all the cosplay autism mommies who support their children in expressing themselves through cosplay and other things. So shout out, yes. So you guys were so wonderful in, hey Tamika, what's up sis? What's up sis? My sister, how you doing? Listen, please say hello to me when you come in. Hey Marion, how you doing? Lucy. Say hi to me when you come in. Let's chat, shall we? Let's chat. Okay, so recap my weekend. I always try to recap my weekend. During the week is a little different, you know. You guys have to follow me and you'll see that stuff. Please, if you don't, even if you're watching me live, go and follow me on YouTube, because when I repost these videos, you get to see all the pictures and all the stuff that I'm chatting about right now and all the stuff I've done. So this weekend, we, Friday to Sunday. So it was easy because everything was kind of, you know, compressed into that weekend. So my kids and I went to Frankfort, Kentucky for the Frankfurt Anime Conference event. And we do all the cons. Now, physically, I am, you know, just not the best health-wise lately as far as like my body's concerned. So I'm being real careful of those things. However, my kids have a great time. I don't have to do a whole lot of walking around. I just kind of sit and watch them. And if I need any assistance, my kids are there to help. So it's awesome. But anywho, back to them. So my girls, they dressed up together. They did cosplay together this time. They always do individual characters and stuff like that, but this time they did it together. It was so cute, Christina and Kalela. And please don't ask me what the characters are. My daughter keeps telling me, but I know one is Lizzie and one is Mary, I think. And then they come from an anime. So if you follow anime, which is what we have done for years, if you follow anime, you will see what the character is. Okay, so yeah. And then whenever we go to a event or to another city, we like to venture out and we like to go do things and see different places. So we went to a couple of malls because we always like to go to a mall in a city we've never been to. You know, we had dinner and all that good stuff. So we had a really, really good time. So you just have to follow me on YouTube so you can find that stuff. So enough about me and my weekend. Real quick though, we are still very much doing the Reesa Foundation business. We're still doing it. Please go to www.reesafoundation.org. You will see all the stuff we're doing. You will see the work we're doing in Cincinnati and 3 different counties in Ohio and in Ghana, West Africa. So please support us. We are continuing to ask for donations. We're continuing to grow. So yeah, just want to throw that out. Just so you know, just a precursor, our next event, we're doing a March Madness event, and we're doing, of course, April is Autism Awareness Month, so we'll be doing something in April. Okay, so just want to throw that out. So just be looking for that. Let's talk about the topic at hand. And you guys know I will end all this with some motivational words for you to live by. You all know that. So here's the deal. Let's talk about Beyonce. Let's talk about the controversy on Beyonce and her country music song. Okay, now let's talk about music for just a second. I'm going to be speaking to you from a musician's perspective. Those of you who know me know that I went to school for music and theater. Music is my life. It is what I love. Aside from my children, I absolutely love working with musicians, working with different types of music. I have an eclectic way of dealing with music, so I love all kinds of music. As a matter of fact, I like country music, certain country artists. Not all country music, but I like certain country artists. And I'm gonna blow y'all mind here for a second. Did y'all know that country music was founded by African Americans? Did y'all know that while we're still in Black History Month? Did somebody not tell y'all that? You know now, okay? Yeah. So why, old boy from, what was the show he was on? Gosh, somebody help me. I know somebody's in here who can help me with this. Texas Hold'em, that's the name of the song. What was the name of the show? And they had oh gosh, y'all, I can't remember. Anyway, let's see. We want to see, what was his name? Gosh, what is his name? The name of the guy. Anyway, Dukes of Hazzard. That's it. So the star of Dukes of Hazzard has gone on and is saying some horrific things about Beyonce. And he is comparing her to a dog and how a dog marks its territory. Yeah, right. He was one of the stars on the Tyler Perry show, that series. The haves and the have-nots. Yes. He's an afterthought. Like he's canceled already. Because how are you going to compare someone? Let's give you guys some history for a second. First of all, Beyonce is from Texas, number one. Beyonce comes from a history of music, and part of that is country, number two. Number three, again, we talked about African Americans had a major role in starting and creating country music. Okay, I didn't make this up. There are actually white historians who have said this about how Africans, when we were brought here in slavery, we brought, they made music. They had to make, the instruments because, of course, they didn't have anything coming in. But they brought their culture over. We brought our culture over, and part of that was the drumming, was the banjo, all that. That is all the beginnings of country music, guys. So hey, don't make it seem like an artist can't do. So let me ask you a question. It's okay for a country artist to cross over into hip hop. It's been done. It's okay for a country artist to cross over into R&B. It's been done. It's okay for a country artist to cross over into gospel. It's been done. But when a pop artist or R&B artist like Beyonce does a country song that really reflects her history and her background, there's an issue with it. So there are lots of stations that refuse to play this song. They refuse to play this song. So let me say this, and we're getting to where I always bring in the motivation. Tamika just said, living in Dallas, these people ride around on horses instead of cars at times. That's true. That's very true. They do. And they carry arms. They carry guns very openly. It's okay down there. So getting back to whenever I bring up topics like this, what do we get out of this? What can we learn from this? And what is it? First of all, that man is full of hate. But yet you got an opportunity your people forgot about who you are or who you were until you were on a black man's network. Well, actually, it was Oprah's network. Take that back. It was Oprah's network. But a black man who gave you a job, a significant role that rebirthed your career. But you said some hateful things about Beyonce, and pretty much he even said, and I quote, that black people do not have a right to be doing gospel, country music. And I typically on these videos, you guys, you all know that my videos are always about positivity and about encouraging you to grow and to think differently and to, exercise your right as a human being to do what you love. But I cannot, as a thespian, as a musician myself, as someone who loves country music, as a matter of fact, one of my favorite country artists is Shania Twain. I sang a Shania Twain song to my husband going down the aisle when we married him. Okay, so I cannot sit here and act as if that did not bother me, okay, or the whole statement doesn't bother me. I cannot sit here as a person who has a music background, who works with all kinds of people from different backgrounds. Most of the musicians that I've worked with over the years, they have a plethora of knowledge and background in music, whether it be country, rock and roll, jazz, whatever, we all do. Music is universal. So how dare you say that black people don't have a place in country music? Let's talk about Darius Rucker for a second. Darius Rucker was in a group that was not a country group at first. It was a pop group. And he transitioned into country because that is his background. And he was welcomed in with open arms. I'm not going to get into how black women are treated in this country. I won't even go there. It just so happened that, Darius Rucker is embraced, but Beyonce can't be. Now, let me say this. I think that one of the reasons that Beyonce is having this controversy and around this song is because of her support of the LGBTQ community. I believe that. I also believe that she has I don't believe it, I know she has a huge following from that group. And so I think that perhaps maybe some conservative people, Christians, they have an issue with that, so therefore they don't want to embrace her. But, I'm going to say this. As a woman of God and as a Christian, we got to do better. Why are you hating on her and on anybody else for that matter that don't look like you, is a little different? Aren't we supposed to love everybody? Didn't God say and Jesus say that the biggest commandment is love? That's the number one commandment, is that we love one another. He also said if you can't love one another, you don't love your brother, you can't love God. You can't love me if you don't love your brother. So why are we doing that? That's number one, okay? Number two, you cannot negate the history that African Americans have brought to the music industry and how much of an impact that African Americans have had in the music industry in the United States, right? I'm talking about now globally, Africans, period, black people, period, have had a major increase. Some of y'all are going to unfollow me. I do not care because I'm speaking the truth. This is what it is. And this is about hate. This is about non-support. This is about, the song is okay. I've heard it. We listened to it. It played several times when we were in Kentucky, which is the heart of country music, one of the areas of country music, and they played it on their stations over and over again. So somebody likes it. Guess what? It's top of the charts. They're playing the music. They like it. Somebody like it. Okay? So that's that. Okay? So I'm going to leave it with that. If you are one of those people that are just not open-minded when it comes to music and genres of music and being able to adjust to that and be able to embrace different genres of music, I would implore you to do better about how you feel about music. Beyonce is an artist. Beyonce is a freaking genius when it comes to marketing. Her team knows exactly what they're doing. This woman can break the internet over and over again. You know why? Because she knows what she's doing, right? However, I don't think that the things that he has said, the hateful things that he said, is accepted. And I won't accept that. And yes, I was going to talk about that today because we got to do better. And he's canceled. He's canceled. He's canceled. Nobody cares about him. Nobody thought about him until he got the role through Tyler Perry Studios, and it was on OWN. That's when his career was resurrected. So that's that. So there. So Beyonce, do what you got to do, girl. Do you? Continue doing what you're doing because you're successful. Some people don't like it when you're successful. You know, I personally am not a beehive person. I'm not. But as an artist, I just have to respect her as an artist, because I wouldn't want somebody to come at me and talk about, oh, I don't like the way she sounds, or and I don't like that she's doing that genre of music, and why is she doing that? She should. Why are we judging? If you're doing what she's doing, then you know, if you're making the money, you've got the impact that she's making, then maybe you can. But if you don't, keep your mouth shut. Stay in your own lane. Do what you do. Okay? Okay. And with that, I'm going to take a sip. Let's talk about Miss Teesa Reesa. Y'all, I know that this has been... I was not going to jump on the bandwagon. I was not going to talk about this. But I've seen it. I didn't see the whole thing. I got the synopsis of it. I could not sit there and watch 52 episodes. I did listen to it because she has a list, right? A playlist. And so I did, as I was walking around doing whatever, I did listen to it briefly. And then I had to shut it off because I was doing other stuff. But let me say this. Okay. I don't want to dissect everything per se, but I do want to talk about the red flags that she saw leading in. She admits that she messed up, right? She admits that there were things that she saw that she should have dealt with immediately. She saw that. She didn't address it, right? So let's talk about the red flags for a second. Now, at the end of the day, if you have not seen it, you know anything about it, let me give you a quick synopsis, okay? So this woman meets a guy online, right? She's ready to date again. She meets this guy online. He says he's one thing, and he really wasn't. Pretty much, it was during COVID. They had to quarantine. They decided that they were going to quarantine at her house. And she had only met this man, been with him for maybe a few weeks or something like that. Maybe a month, maybe. They decided to quarantine at her house. And she, in the process of all that, he ended up moving in with her. He told her he was a manager or VP or something at a company that is a condiment company. So it could be like Heinz or who makes the mayonnaise, who makes Miracle Whip. I don't know. But one of those places, right? And he was a VP. And so she got pregnant, and he was supposed to be at a business, away of a business, something like that. She ended up miscarrying. She had to have surgery. He wasn't there for the surgery. He also said he was married before, had children before. He had 3 accounts. He had 2 accounts in the States and 1 offshore account. He was supposed to be buying her house, supposed to be buying her cars, and all of that fell through. And he lied about it. He was a liar. He was a pathological liar. Come to find out, not only was he not who he said he was, it was his brother, his twin brother, who was the real person that he was describing himself to be. And she found all this out, that he had been arrested, and it was just all kind of stuff that went on, right? And the only reason that she was able to find out the real story was because she had a Social Security number. And Social Security number didn't match up with the Social Security number that was on the marriage license, and it was just a whole bunch of that, right? So, with that being said, at the end of the day, she realized that he was a fake. He had talked about money he had. He had money from somewhere. He had played arena football, and he had saved money. All this was a lie. It was all his brother who had this story, okay? So let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about, so you guys have the synopsis of what happened. So let's talk about women who are a bit desperate to get together and get married and to have a relationship. And ladies, I'm going to say this. As a woman who has been married twice, and my first marriage lasted for a good many years, almost 20 years. And then between that, I dated, and I decided to stay single for a very, very long time. I was single and was not in a committed relationship for, let's see, I got married in 2021. So I dated from time to time, and then I was in a relationship that was that lasted for maybe a year, 2010 to 2011. But prior to that, I really stayed single because my goal was to just raise my children, right? I didn't want to be in a relationship. I wanted to focus on my kids. Okay, so let's talk about being desperate, right? So women, and I'm gonna say this as your big sister, as your TT, as your auntie, as your big sister, y'all doing too much. Y'all doing too much. You know why I say you're doing too much? Because you have to wait on God to direct you, or to listen and to hone in and to know when is the right time to enter a relationship. Or let's say your situation. Now this girl, according to this situation, she had a good job. She had a good job prior to meeting this man, and she was doing pretty well for herself, which makes sense why he would attach to her and then lie about what he really did. Sometimes we jump, and I say we because I've done this before. Sometimes we jump into relationships so quickly before we know who people are, because we are desperate for love, that we are desperate for exception. We are desperate to be accepted and to be nurtured and guided, and just to have someone to have our companionship. We are desperate, right? I'm going to say this. The first and foremost, your love and your guidance and acceptance that you seek is through God. Number one, okay? Want to say that. God accepts you for who you are. You know, we are all sinners, but we are sinners saved by grace, right? So when you got baggage, but God, he still loves you and doesn't care about those things, right? So it's the same thing with, in a relationship. If you put God first in your marriage, if you put God first in your life, in your relationship, in your friendship, in your workspace, whatever it is that you do, I promise you, I'm going to tell you like a TI is, if you put God first and you seek him first, okay, all these things will be given to you. You don't have to search on your own, because sometimes we act out of the heart and not out of this, or vice versa. Sometimes we act out of this and say, okay, I'm supposed to be married by this time. I'm supposed to have children. I'm getting to the age where it's time for me to get married. So let me go ahead and start dating and put myself out there. And did you ask God about that first? Did you pray about it first? Did you ask God, okay, now God, I need you to guide me in this situation. Listen, ladies, I'm speaking to ladies. I'm going to speak to the guys in a minute. Ladies, I promise you, if you think on those things that are of God and of good report, and think on those things and concentrate on those things and make sure that you're good, you're not going to get no crazy man like this. I promise you. Listen, when my former husband, he died. I dreamt about him last night too, which is so odd. He does that sometimes. He shows up in my dreams. I think he wants to talk to me about my son. His son. But before I met him, I prayed. I remember the prayer exactly. I remember what apartment I was in. I remember my bedroom. I remember kneeling on next to my bed. I was tired of being single with some of these crazy men. I was tired. And so I said, God, here's what I want. Do you know that when we make our petitions known to God, he answers our prayers? He answers. So I said, okay, God, here's what I'm looking for. Now I'm going to be a little real. Get the kids out the room. If they're watching with you, pause the record and get the kids out the room, because I'm about to be really, really frank and very transparent with you guys right now. Okay? Let's be honest with each other. We don't want to talk about sex. We don't want to talk about those things, but, we're supposed to be able to talk about that, especially in church. We're supposed to talk about it, right? But Auntie Kim, TT going to talk about it, right? I'm going to talk about it. So let's talk about that for a minute, all right? Listen, when I prayed, I was specific about what kind of man I wanted. I told God, I said, okay, I would like him to be taller than me. I would like him to be this height, this weight. I would like him to be well endowed below, so that I would be okay. That it's perfect for me. I told God what kind of skin color I wanted him to have. I told God what type of personality I wanted him to have. I wanted him to be a gentle giant. I visioned him in my head when I prayed. I'm telling y'all, this is what happened. I was very specific, and I won't go into, well, I kind of went more in detail, but I told God what I wanted, and then I left it there. I prayed about it, and I left it there, and I told God what I wanted and what I needed in my life, and I left it there, right? So then what I did was I concentrated on doing God's work and doing what was good for me, right? That's what I did, okay? Concentrate on that. So I will tell you, after that prayer, I'm going to tell you the reason I prayed that prayer. About to be transparent in a minute. Let me take a drink because this is going to get deep, y'all. Y'all ready for it? So I had that prayer because I was date raped. I could talk about it because I'm healed from it. There was a man who I was dating. Come to find out, this man was married, right? I saw him, and we met, whatever. We would meet from time to time. The red flag for that, what I should have known, I was very young though, I was in my 20s. I should have known that, number one, that I never went to his house, number one. Number two, I would see him from time to time. We didn't talk all the time. And number three, he would show up at my door. And just show up. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing here? Like, I was his woman for real. We were just dating. But I would never, like, I didn't have anyone living with me. I was, that type of girl. I was, I had children at the time. And I didn't want, I didn't have anybody living with me. So long story short, I had told him, I said, well, listen. I said, I've rededicated my life to God. So I will not be having sex with you. So I told him. I said, so we can hang out, we can date, whatever, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not having sex with you. He didn't accept that too well. He acted like he did. So he went on his way. I didn't see him for another couple of months, something like that. And he popped up my door one day. I never forget this. The only reason I was home was because I had gone to a funeral the night before. Some of you guys will probably remember this football player who got killed here. I was very, very close to his family. This happened back in the 90s, y'all. So I'm letting you know how long ago this was. And so he popped up at my door. I had just got out of the shower. I had a robe on. I said, hey, what are you doing here? I let him in because I knew him. It was okay, right? Long story short, moving quickly, I told him no. He took it. I wasn't going to call the police, but I ended up calling the police, and he was charged with rape. So you have to be very careful when you are dealing with these men. So back to my prayer. Because of what I had went through, now physically I was okay, but mentally, emotionally, I was a wreck. And I said, God, I am done. I am done. I can't do this anymore. I want somebody in my life who's going to love me, who's going to care for me, who's going to, I had children from a previous marriage. And I said, I really need someone to, or a previous relationship, I should say. And I said, I need someone who's going to love me and my children love me the way I deserve to be loved. And I prayed, I was specific. And when I tell you God moved very quickly, I wasn't looking for my husband at the time. I wasn't looking for him. I wasn't looking for anybody. And I was at a bowling alley with my girlfriend, Sheila. Shout out to Sheila Williams. And we were at a bowling alley, and it was a weekend, Memorial Day weekend that year. Never forget it. And I was very much involved in ministry and dedicated to God, whatever. And here's this man. He was watching me because I was bowling a certain way. And he came over. He says, you know what? If you step one board over, those bowlers, you'll get it if you bowl. He'll say, if you just step one board over, he says, you can you'll better hit the pocket. I looked at him like, who's this talking to me? Who? I said, okay. I moved over one board and got a strike. Just like that. I promise it was like clockwork. Or bookwork, if you will. And so that's how I met him. But I prayed for this man because when I tell you that night we met, we talked forever. We talked for hours that night at the bowling alley. I got in my car. He says, I would like to continue talking with you. Can I please have your phone number? Now, back then, we had landlines and cell phones. We use our landlines more. So I gave him my landline, and he had a landline. And we talked and continued to talk and talked and talked and got to know each other. He had some trauma in his life. That's another red flag, guys. Although I love this man very much, and he took very, he was the man I got prayed for. As a matter of fact, when I brought him to meet my mother looked at me and she says, well, when y'all get married? My mother never, ever did that. Yes, Neil. Hey, Neil. Yeah, absolutely. Like, we had landlines back then. And so I was just tired of going through that whole thing. Met this man. He was everything. When I tell you we were inseparable from that point on, we got married real quick. Now, let me say this. I will not encourage you to do what I did. We met in May of that year. We were married by July 10th of that year. And we were married for 20 years. Now, we had our ups and downs. We went through some stuff. Okay? We had a couple of separations. That was later in the marriage, though. But yeah, and God rest his soul, he died some years ago. So I would not recommend you do that. But, that's how we got together. So I'm saying this to say, on this Monday motivation, I'm going to leave you all with this. We need to, as men and women, when we're seeking a spouse or seeking a relationship, we got to be mindful and to not be so desperate to jump into a relationship. We got to take time. We got to pray. My current relationship, when I married my husband, we knew each other for a minute before I even started really dating him, then met his family. Then we got engaged. Then we waited almost a year before we got married. Like, you have to get to know people. And I'm married to a man who is from Africa. So that's a whole nother dynamic. We can go into that. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a whole video with him on age gap relationships. We're going to talk about that, and also intercultural relationships and how that goes. But we got to take our time. Let's not be so desperate to jump into marriages. Let's seek God on everything that we do and wait on God. And while you're waiting does not mean you're sitting there with your arms closed waiting. Waiting means you're busy. It's like if you're at a restaurant and you wait on someone as a server. Well, we wait on God, meaning we do God's work. We get busy. We do things, right, to keep ourselves busy. So we're not waiting. But I will share this with you all. Every relationship isn't easy, okay? My husband and I currently, we do have sometimes we have clashes, but we always come back together and we realize, okay, let's work this out. Let's talk it out. Let's figure it out, because we're coming from two different cultures. I promise you that God made that man for me. Both my husbands, God made them for me. Absolutely. God rest, Sanford's soul. But God made my husband Albert for me. He did. And I believe that that you have to wait on God. So Neil just said, I was always told when you're not looking, that's when you find the one. Baby, that's what happened with both my situations. My former husband of 20 years, I wasn't looking for him. It's just like, bam. We got to stop. Okay. Let me say this. If we are Christian, I'm trying to speak to the Christians, right? If your steps are ordered by God, let him order your steps. Let him order your steps. Let him guide you every day in your daily walk, and not worry about doing things on your own, because that's where you have an issue, right? You've got to let God guide your steps. The Holy Spirit speaks to you very clearly. The red flags that girl saw, listen, I know that was God saying, girl, you better get out of that marriage. Get out of this. What are you doing? Hello? Holy Spirit was like, girl, listen. Come on. I know the Holy Spirit was talking to her like, okay, now you know better. You're educated. You know better. Now come on. Come on back home and let's talk to God about this. You're about to mess up. And she even admits that. She admits that she messed up. So I'm just going to leave you out with this. Seek God in everything you do. Seek God in everything you do. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things be added unto you. you will get everything you need from God. You will get every answer, whether it be relationships, whether it be job situations, whether it be situations where you have a loved one that's ill. If you have whatever it is, God will. Hey, Brother Bob, how are you? Bob says, happy is the man who finds a wife. Not sure about the woman. Yes, yes. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure my husband, your brother Albert, would say that to you, Bob. He probably said the same thing to you. But absolutely, I agree with that. You know, the Bible does say the man who finds a wife finds a good thing. Ladies, it's not really our job to go looking. I'm going to drink on that. It's not our job to go looking. It's not. If we allow God to order our steps, things will be okay. I want to go back to, before we close, just reiterate, as we leave today, we talked about Beyonce, we talked about the country music piece, we talked about how this man, the old Dukes of Hazzard star, talked about, compared her to a dog and peeing and all that, and peeing in his territory and all that, comparing her and saying things that black people don't have a right in country music. Just want to reiterate that music is universal. Don't propel the hate, guys. She's doing what she's doing. She's a Texas girl. She's country. That's where she comes from. She just happened to be in the pop industry. That's what she was thrown into as a child. She talks about that when she was younger. But she comes from Texas. That is her music. That's her background. Let her be great. Neil says, and it's not a woman's job to propose to a man. But that's another topic. It is. I know, right? You've been seeing that happen a whole lot. But anyway. All right, Reese's Pieces, thank you guys so much for watching today. I so appreciate you all for visiting. Thanks for those who came in and say hi. Listen again, if you do not follow me, please like, subscribe, and share this video. If you don't follow me, please do. Follow me on all of my platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and of course, YouTube. All right, guys, I love you so much. Have an awesome, awesome, awesome rest of your day. Have an awesome rest of your week. Remember, y'all, be kind to one another. Love on one another, okay? Let's not propel the hate. People have opinions, but everybody, well, I'm gonna stop right there. Everybody got, I would say this, everybody got a mouth, okay? But, yes, John, that's his name. Absolutely. All right, guys. I love you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. I got stuff to do, and I got work to do, and I got to do mama business. But I love you all. I love you so much, and you can't do nothing about it. All right. Have a good day, guys. Bye. See you next time. Bye.